So the last thing we're going to cover before the end of the semester is how to put together an assembly drawing, which is just taking the individual pieces of an assembly and compiling them into one drawing. So Chapter 17 and Chapter 18 covered this in more detail. I'm just going to show you how I would go about putting together an assembly drawing in AutoCAD. SolidWorks, that's what we'll covering how to do assembly drawings more heavily in SolidWorks next semester. I don't think we have enough time to even approach that at the moment. So I'm going to switch over to AutoCAD here real quick. And the first thing I'm going to do is create what is called a sheet set. This should allow us to kind of quickly and easily create all of the PDFs required for the assembly. Instead of having to open up each individual file, hit export PDF, so on and so forth. So the process on this is a little clunky, I would say. So bear with me and we'll see if we can make this work. So I currently have what is called the Sheet Set Manager open. If you need to get that open, you go up to File and then click on Sheet Set Manager. With that open, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on the Open button, the drop down there, and I'm going to do New Sheet Set. I'm going to do existing drawings because I already have these done. I'd have to test that out. I would probably suggest just get all your drawings done and then go through this process of making the sheet set. But all that at the same time, you might be able to create it first and then add to the sheet set as you create each individual part. So name of the new sheet set, I'm just going to name it after the example assembly I'm using, which is from Chapter 17. P17-3, the drill jig. So I'm going to type P17-3, and the description is drill jig. You can leave this part blank if you want. We're not going to touch the sheet set properties right now, but it gives you a lot of more options to add to define the sheet set more. I'm going to hit next. Browse for where I want the drawings to come from, which is Chapter 17. I would suggest putting all these drawings in the same folder, whether or not documents, your OneDrive, Google Drive, whatever the case is. Try to keep them all centrally located. And yeah, so don't leave drawings from past assignments in the same folder. Create a brand new folder for this assembly. Click Next. And then I'm going to hit finish. This just kind of gives me a preview of all the details on the sheet set, which that's where that sheet set properties would have allowed us to add more to this. Click on finish. And now I got my sheets set right here. And then now I'm going to open up all my drawings. So holding down Shift, I can select all of them and hit open. I'm going to get an error on this one because I was playing with the sheet set. So with a field on it with the sheet sets earlier, so you can ignore this. This shouldn't pop up on yours. I'm gonna, just for my own OCD, I'm gonna reorganize these tabs so they're all kind of in order. And then now in my sheet set here, I believe it is, let's think here. Yep, okay. So right clicking, no matter which one so either on here or up here, I'm gonna right click, import layout as sheet, and I'm gonna browse for drawings, and then I'm gonna select all of these. And now it's got so I don't want the ledger on these, or I could rename some of these, but here I do want the ledger on that one. That's right. I'm going to import selected or checked, and now those are showing up in my sheet set. Now if I double click on any of these, it will pop over to that drawing. And then when I'm done with this, I'll show it's just a right click on here, and then we're going to publish. Okay, so that this is my P17-3, that's what I'm calling my assembly. I'm going to jump over to this one in a second. I just want to finish up what I've kind of started with on this last one here, what I've done with all the rest of them. I'm not going to cover the dimensioning. That's something you already know how to do. So what I have on, say, this one here is this little point, which I uploaded the templates again, and it should have this on here with kind of a brief description of what I got going on. This point is a block. If you type, which I'll demonstrate from the start in P17-3F, but this block has attributes in it that we're going to use to generate our bill of materials on our assembly drawing. So I'm going to come over here and I'll start from scratch. I'll make a new layer, attributes. I want it not to print and all that. I'm just going to give it a random color here. So I'm going to type point, which I don't think I got my style set up on this one. There we go. Point, put it at 0, 0, and set it to my attribute layer. So now what I'm going to do is type block. I'm going to name the block the same name as the file, because that's going to be part of the BOM table when we start that up. So P17-3-F. Now it wants me to select objects, so I'm going to select my point here, and okay. Now it's going to ask me the insertion point of the block, or the base point of the block. So I'm just going to click on the block, and now it goes into the block editor. The block editor can do a lot of interesting and cool things, but for the time being, we're just going to use the attribute definition. I have another video I'll kind of post around here. It kind of goes into more using the block tool as the whole part instead of just the attributes. There's some ups and downs on using that. I think if you want to try it, I'll share that video in the description below. Is that how they say it? Okay, so I've just clicked on attribute definition. So I need two attributes that I want to have associated with this part. I want the description and well, in this case I wouldn't have one, but I'm just going to do it anyways, is the material. So the name of it is, I'm going to just double it up. And then the default here is where you would put in the description of the part, which in this case, this is the hex head nut. So I'm just going to put in hex head nut, colon, and then I'm going to put in some of the details about it, which is an M20 by 2.5, which is the pitch. I could go into, I can use fields in these too, so if you want to have the diameter, the width, or the length of something drive the dimension, you can just right click in here and insert field. And then usually from there, go to objects, object, select the thing, and then pick the property that you want to kind of have driving that area. I'm not going to do that in this instance. I'm just going to have this here. I want it to be invisible, so it just won't show up, and that should do it. Now it wants me to place it somewhere, so I'm just going to place it there. I guess since it's invisible, this part doesn't matter, but I'm still going to set this to my attribute layer. Okay, so that one's done. I want one more. I'm going to go to, oh, it's the wrong tab. Okay, back to my block editor. Attribute definition. So in this situation, I wasn't supplied a material for this nut, which could be zinc or steel or whatever. This is where I would put that. So other parts define what the material of each part is, so like that's why we're going to put this attribute in here. The template that I'm supplying has these in there, so you won't really have to go through this if you use that template. I just want to show you how I did it. I'm gonna hit OK. Place my material block attribute. Do a match properties and make it the same layer, and then close. Now I want to save my changes. So from there, then I'd go in and I'd dimension my part, and now I'm ready to start assembling assembly. So what I'm going to use for this method is groups, just to keep each part kind of, once again, grouped together. So I'm not having to worry about accidentally deleting a line or covering something and making it maybe a little easier to select each individual part. That's like this point here, that's basically all the information of each part. If I copy, say, that washer, no, sorry, that wasn't a washer, that was a nut. What I need to be careful of is if I'm copying, say, a bolt from the front view and up to the top view, I got to make sure that the front or top view have only one of those has that attribute block, because if both of them had that in there, then that's going to count the bolt twice, even though it's only in there once. So I'm going to run through how I'm going to put this together. I got this already in there. In this case, with this bracket, I'm only going to need my right front and top view. So I'm going to do a Control-Shift-C. Control-Shift-C will give me an option to select my base point. So I want my base point, sync here. This might work. I'm going to right click, and that's not going to do anything. So I'm going to just click here. Now I'm going to paste it into my assembly. Plop it really anywhere. And I'm just going to group with just G the front and top separately, so I can kind of move them around freely and place them where they need to be. Such in this case, this needs to go right there. And then let's see if this works. Move, snap overrides, mid between 2 points. I just saw this one today. So from here to here, now I'm in the middle of there. Let's see if this allows me to do it again. Nope. So you can only do it once, of course. AutoCAD has something cool and then immediately ruins it. Okay, move, right click, mid between 2 points, and then I will just drag it from there. Okay, that wasn't too bad. So now I need two of these, so I'm going to mirror this about the midpoint of that. So this would be a case where I want 2 of these attribute blocks in the assembly. So when I do my bill of material, which I'll get to, and you'll see why I'm doing this, I want it to count 2 of these. So going over to C, I just need the front and top again. Copy. Oh, I screwed that up. I want to Control-Shift-Copy. And let's think here. Where'd be good? Okay, that's right. That wouldn't let me do that. I'll copy from there. Control-V. And I will place this in here. I guess that didn't really matter where I had my base point. I'm going to group it. I always want to do GR. It's just G. And I will move it into place. Move it into place. Let's see here. Between 2 points. Thing. All right. So that you just keep on repeating this process of copying and pasting. I'm going to do one more here with the nut, the bolt. I only need the front view on this one, so Control-Shift-C. Paste it in, group it with just a G. Do a quick rotate and move. Place, copy. Okay, so this is where, now that I'm copying it from the front and top, I have two of these attributes, but this is the same part, front and top, so there's only one of them in here currently, so I need to get rid of one of those. So I'm going to do a group, GE, no, group edit, I'm going to select, let's do the top, and I want to remove objects. I'm going to click on this, that just gets that outside of the group, and now I can delete it. Okay, so from here, I'd keep on adding in my parts, and when I'm done with it, I want to I'm going to do a section view of the front view, and I'm just going to have no hidden lines on my top view, because having the hidden lines there in this instance really doesn't help me. So in order to trim things out, you can keep things in groups and trim them out. So like if I select this group here and hit trim, I can start trimming out this hole here around that group. The only problem is it has like every single line, so you have to be kind of meticulous about it. So this little area there, probably wouldn't ever notice it, but it is there. Probably could do a green select like that to get rid of it. That's good there. And then I wouldn't need to see any of the bolt paths basically here, so trim and get rid of all that. Let's do a group edit, and we'll remove items, objects, select all those. That's a problem with the group there, is it even the blue select seems to want to just select everything if it touches it. Yeah, I got one last thing to remove from the group here. See, that's kind of annoying. Surprise, surprise. AutoCAD has something annoying. I want this to be out of there. There we go. That is... Oops, I trimmed more than I wanted to. Let's see here. Let's do a group edit. This might be a good option to add object. Shoot, that's not gonna work. So if I just do a line, now I can now do the group, edit, select the group, and add objects. I should have been a little more careful with my trim there, but So that's how you kind of handle that. Keep if you want to just have a view that has no hidden lines or just trim things out, you can keep them in groups and then select where you want to trim. So in my front view here, if I want to, now that I'm going to make this a section view, I'm just going to cut straight through this part. That basically makes, other than your fasteners, you leave your fasteners unsectioned, but the brackets and whatnot you would section out. So if I want to make, when I go to section this, I want to make all my hidden lines visible. Since this is grouped, whatever I select up here for the layer type, it's going to set everything in that group to that layer type. So I want them all to be object lines, so I'm going to click here, and now this view here, this part here, has all visible lines, and then I can go into, apparently I don't have section lines on this part. Let's just make that real quick. Section lines, and then just hatch it like you normally would. This is going to, that part there is steel. Steel, click, click, and click, and click. And then just keep on doing that for each part, and then it's just like you would do any other, well, okay. So the last step on this, after you get it fully finished, which obviously this isn't, is to do a data extraction, and that's where these point blocks come into play. So data, let's do one thing before that. Let's do ATT and attribute sync, and then I'm going to do, it says enter option, I'm going to do name, and then I'm going to do asterisk, which what that does is selects all of the blocks and attributes and syncs them. Press enter. So if you want to be more meticulous about what attributes you want to sync, you'd actually could select or type in the actual name of them. I want to do that one more time just to make sure I actually got that. Okay. So now data extraction. And in fact, I should probably, here, I'll do it here. Let's try this. All right, data extraction. I want to create a new one. It's asking me where I want to save it. I will save it in that same folder of all of my parts. I will name it the same thing as that. Oh, so I've already done this once before. I'm just going to replace it. So yes. I'm going to go next. So now in this part of the dialog box, the only thing I need checked is display box with attributes only. That's where we're getting, when we made those points with those attributes, that's where this comes into play. So unchecking all this, make sure each of the blocks that you know are in your assembly are checked here, which these are the only 4 I currently have in there. Now I'm going to click next. This should, the first time you go through, these are probably all checked. The only thing we need is attributes, so just simply uncheck all these, and then make sure that the properties, your attributes that you defined in that block are there, which the 2 of them I had were the material and description, so that's good. And click next. And now it's kind of, you can kind of see here the start of the table we'll be using. This actually, I might be like over here when you first start it up if you want to start moving things around the way that you want them to display in the table. It's just as simple as left clicking on it and dragging it to where you want it. In that case, I wanted that one over there. The other column we might want, and I'm still playing with this to see if I can make this, figure out a way to make this work, is each row needs to have a number. So this P17-3A, that should be number 1, B should be 2, C 3, so on and so forth. We can do that manually once we insert the table, but there is something, a formula column, and I'm not going to hold my breath if there's a way to make this work, but I feel like there might be an option some way, somehow, to make this formula column basically our number display. I'm just going to put it in a, not really even any formula. I don't know if there's any, it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of options in terms of what you can do with this formula, unlike some other areas where AutoCAD allows you to write a formula. But I'm just going to put one there as just a placeholder, and then I'll replace it once I get the file in there, or the table in my drawing. Yeah, like so I can just drag that over there. Okay, so it came up with decimal places. So if I wanted to format that, I right click on it, and then I set column data format. And I want this to be, I'll just say fractional, or I could even keep it at decimal and set the precision to just no decimal places. Say okay. You can do that with a lot of these other columns. Oops, I just accidentally clicked on that by adding a new sort columns option. The only sort column option I want in there is that the name is ascending, meaning I want the table to be sorted alphabetically by the part's name. That name is coming from, if you remember, is when I told you to name those blocks the same as the file. That's where that's coming from. I think that's all I got. So you can see, I just did it again. Remove. There you go. Right clicking on this, I can do a set column data format. I've tried it here where I set the format to have the column all capitalized. I'll show you in the next step here. So I hit next, insert data extraction table into drawing, and now that we got some options here, enter a title for your table. I want that to be BOM table. This won't come in with all these symbols if we can have this set so that all the text is uppercase. This is that GDT font, so all lowercase letters are a symbol. As you can see here, there is a table style option. I currently have a BOM table. I made that. If I click on this button here, I can create a new table style, which I have my BOM table. This is what makes me think we could do something with that formula column, because look, it says 1, 2, 3, 4 over here in this preview, which after I insert this into the drawing, that doesn't seem to actually do that, but it might be one thing I can try. But like I said, I think there's something we can do with it. I just haven't quite figured out exactly what makes it work. So once you go in here, you can set new, BOM table, whatever you want to call it, and then modify. Up here in the, let's see here, okay, cell styles, we can click on each of these and then set certain predefined styles that we want. So the format for the text, that's where we can find things like text uppercase. I currently have each of these set so that the text is set to uppercase. The alignment of the cell, so in the data, I want my alignment to be set to middle left so that the text kind of doesn't float in the center, obviously, and kind of you can read it left to right a little easier. Borders, actually I think I'm gonna change my line weight on the borders to be a little heavier. Let's try 0.3. We'll keep the line type and all that the same. And then the text, I have that at GDT. If you don't want to mess around with making sure that it stays uppercase, you can change the font type here. But because I did that uppercase, it should work. And then the BOM table's text or font will match the rest of the drawing, which is preferable. I think that's enough there. You can set that current or whatever. And now I should be good to go to hit, I don't know if I said that already, give your table a title. I just called it BOM table, hit next, and finish. Now let's see how this turns out. Okay, so that worked. Everything was uppercase, I don't have any symbols. Everything is kind of laid out the way I want it to be. The other thing I want to try here, See if we can get that to actually update. Otherwise, we're just gonna have to manually do it. Do update table links. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, AutoCAD. Okay. Let's see here. Cell style. Huh. By row and column. So if I do a data, let's redo that update. Of course. Okay, let's fix this up real quick. I'm gonna try one more thing. Yeah, it didn't do anything. So by default, these cells come in locked. I'm gonna unlock all these, and then I'm gonna make, oops, this one at least 2 or 322. No, 2. And then selecting both these cells, and then clicking on this diamond shape here and dragging down, that'll auto-fill out those numbers. So if you have a lot of them, that'll save you a lot of time. You just have to make sure the first 2 are 1 and 2, and then you should be able to drag down and have them all set up. I don't know if I can. That just doesn't make much sense, does it? Well, let's see when I do the publish if this maintains. I did create a layer for the BOM table. You don't necessarily have to do that. But make sure you set it on a layer that doesn't have like a really hefty line thickness, because otherwise your font will come out all chunky and gross looking. And then I did the same thing with so then BOM Balloons, which I have 2 of them here. That's under your MLS styles. If you don't already have it, you can make one. Make new BOM Balloon, and then make sure that under the content tab that the multi-leader type is a block and the source block is a circle, and that will allow us to put a number in that tag there. So hitting OK. I also made a BOM Balloons layer. You could probably put that on the dimension layer, but it's kind of nice having multiple layers for stuff like that in case you need to like hide all the BOM Balloons or whatever. Undo. So then MLD to start up our multi-leader, and then I'll put a BOM Balloon on, say, this bolt here, and place it there. Tag number, the bolt was number 4, and click OK. You can be extra meticulous like I am and kind of keep things in line, nice and pretty looking. Otherwise, at least lay them in there so it's easily read what part it's pointing to. Like take this one for instance. I got this going to the middle of the part. If I had just gone to the top here, it's kind of confusing to which part it's pointing at. Yes, I have this one up here pointing to that, so it should be fairly obvious, but I wouldn't leave anything up to a guess. So going back down there, doesn't have to go to the mid, but it can. Let's think here. What else do I need to cover? Each of your sheets should have a number. So this will be my first one overall, which the order over here is how when we go to publish it, they'll be plotted out. So if you can drag those around depending on how they came in. In my instance, the dimension drawing was at the bottom, so I simply just dragged it up to the top, but everything else seems like it should be in the right order. Clicking on this, come on. So I can either just put in 1, since it's my first one, or if you want to get fancy with fields, if you go to, I think that is... I thought it was the number. Well, I'm just going to delete that, put 1, and then go through each drawing and make sure you got that set up to the right number. Yeah, that's the one, huh? Must have changed something. Oh, it's 2, and so on and so forth. I'm not gonna fix all these. Okay. Now, if I want to publish this, I come over to Sheet Set Manager. Something that I ran into, and hopefully this doesn't happen again, is only the first row in my table stayed or plotted, and everything else was blank. There was an option that popped up when I hit publish that I think might be the culprit, so I'm going to not click on it and see how that turns out. So right click, publish, and I want to publish to PDF. I'm going to put it in the same folder as I have everything else. Okay, this is it. So it says if I want to update the data extraction, which makes sense that you'd want to do something like that, but at the same time, we haven't changed anything, so I'm not sure what it's updating. So I'm just going to skip all updates and see what happens. So as you can see down on the status bar here, there's the little printer icon, and right now it's going up and down. Make sure I got, okay. Once it's done publishing, there will be a bubble that pops up and tells you that it's done. You can go over and check your PDF to see if everything came out right. It should even tell you, yeah, it's telling me right now what page is currently publishing. I'll skip ahead and then we'll see if my PDF actually succeeded in publishing. So here's the balloon that pops up, tells you that it's all done. I'll go over to where I saved it. Over in this folder. Double click on that and we'll see how that worked. Okay, that seemed to work. Now there's each page is in there. There's, if it opens up an edge, there's a little button here for contents and you can go to each page. Looks like I might want to probably like rename each of my sheets so it's a little cleaner looking. So it's not repeating it like that and whatnot. But other than that, it's looking not complete, obviously, but it should reduce some tedium with how making all of these assembly drawings and uploading them, especially to Canvas. In a workplace, you'd probably still have to make the PDFs for each individual part because those are going to have to go into a database, but still something kind of useful to use. So currently I'm going to probably only have one assembly assigned, but this goes smoothly enough for everybody, and we have time to do a couple more. We're definitely going to try to hit those up.